Hello everybody, it's Tarun. Welcome to your 21st tutorial in the CSS for presentation course. In this tutorial, I'll start with 3 columns fluid layout. So without wasting time, let's start. Okay, I suspect you are getting the hang of it so far. So now we'll tackle 3 column layouts which use the same principles but take a little extra thing. Okay, in this coming example, we'll float all of the elements to the left using simple floats. You will see that we are quite tied in the order in which the 3 floated elements appear in the source. So what will our strategy? We'll set the widths on all the 3 columns and float them to the left. Clear the footer to keep it at the bottom of the page. Okay, so now first of all I'll show you the markup for this. Okay, the markup looks like this. Okay, you can see here. And what will be our style? And our styles look like this. Okay, you can see here I have floated all the elements to the left and I have defined some width for them. Okay, and now I'll show you how does it look like in the browser. Okay, so just a second. So this will how it look like in the browser. As you can see here, this is the source order, the header, links, then main, and news, and then footer. And in the layout it will look like this. The links will go on the left, then main, and then news. Okay, and you can see here also, here are the links, then the main, and then the news. So what we'll be getting, or what we can note out from this thing, is that the markup shows that we now have a total of 5 divs in the document, which are header, links, main, news, and footer. Second note is that using simple floats alone, if we want the main content column to appear in the middle between the links and the news column, then the main div needs to appear between links and news divs in the source. Okay. Okay, and we'll break free of source order in the upcoming any order column using the negative margin example. And the third note is that all 3 columns are given width and floated to the left. Care must be taken to ensure that the total of the width and margin measurements is not greater than 100%. Okay, so now we'll see any order columns using negative margins. When float based layouts were beginning to gain steam, many designers wondered, is there a way to do 3 columns float that is independent from the source order? And the answer turns out to be yes. The trick there is to use the magic of negative margin values and a little bit of maths. Okay, the technique was first brought to light, or you can say first brought to notice by Alex Robinson in his 2005 article, The Search for One True Layout. Okay, you can Google it also to know more about it. So now we'll see what will be our strategy. Apply widths and floats to all the 3 column elements and use a negative margin to drag the left column across the page into the left position. The underlying structure and resulting layout will be shown in the figure which I will show you. And notice that although main comes first in the source, it is in second in the column position, and in addition the links div is last in the source. Okay, and is now being shown in the first column position on the left. So this example is fixed, but you can do the same thing with a fluid layout using percentage. So now I'll show you the styles and markup for this example. Okay, as you can see here in the markup, we have first wrapper, then header, then main, then news, then links, and then footer. Okay, and this is a style for each and every div ID. Okay, so now I'll show you how does it look in the web page. Okay, So this is a fixed with 3 column layout using 3 floats. It looks like the previous example only, but it is special in that the column order is not the same as the source. Okay, as you can see here, in the source main comes first, but in the layout main comes second, and in the source links come in the last, and here you can see links come first. Okay. So there are some things that we can note from this example also, but before that I'd like to show you the remaining styles which you could not see in the previous part of the video, because it is there in the lower part of the page. So you can see it here, the links and the footer. Okay, so what are the notes for this example is that this one obviously requires a bit more explanation. So we'll now look at how it's done one step at a time. In the markup, we see that the main comes first. Okay. Presumably because it is the most important content and the links come last. The whole page is wrapped up in a wrapper so that it can be set to a specific width, which is 960 pixel we have defined here. In the layout, however, the order of the columns from left to right is links, which is 200 pixels wide. Okay. Then links, you can see here 200 pixel wide, then main 520 pixel wide. Okay, here you can see, and then news, which is 200 pixel wide. The layout has 20 pixels of space between the columns. So the first step to getting there is moving the main content to the middle position by applying a left margin that pushes it over to the over enough to make room for the left column. Okay. And plus the space between 20 pixels. So margin left to 20 pixel here. While we are at it, we'll add 20 pixel right margin on the main as well to make room on the right side. So we can see in the figure which I showed you just now that how does it look after applying styles to the main. Okay. Next, you will see that this is the cool part of this example. Pull the content that you want to go in the left column, okay, which is links in this case, to the left using a negative margin value. Here you can see, the trick here is figuring out how far to the left it needs to be moved. So if you look in the figure, you can see that it needs to be moved by 960 pixels only on the left. Okay, so this was all in the 3 column layout. So now we'll talk more about positioned layouts. Okay, so I think we have got floated columns covered. The other way to create columns in a layout is to use absolute positioning. Note that in the both examples, I have omitted the footer element which I showed you in the earlier tutorials, and I have done this for a couple of reasons. First, when you position all of the elements in a layout, as we see in these examples, they no longer participate in the layout, which means that there is nothing to hold a footer at the bottom of the page. Okay, and it will rise up to the top. So there are solutions to this problem using JavaScript, but that are beyond the scope of this course. So we'll start with the 3 columns positioned fluid layout. This layout uses percentage values to create 3 flexible columns. So I'll first of all tell you the markup and styles, then I'll talk about strategy, and then I'll show you the figure, how does it look like. Then we'll note from this example what is worth noting. So first of all, I'll show you the markup now. Okay, this is the markup, and now I'll show you the styles. Okay, these are the styles. So you can see here, and the strategy here is that we'll wrap the 3 content divs, main, news and links, in a div which is content. Here you can see, okay, to serve as a containing block for the 3 positioned columns. Then give the 3 column elements widths and position them in containing content element. So I'll show you the figure now. How does it look like? So this is how it will look like in the browser. This is the source order. Okay, and here you can see it is the layout in which news comes first, then main, and then links. And this is one example of such a layout. So now we'll make notes about this. Okay, I think that you will find the styles for this layout to be fairly straightforward. I created the first note is that I created the content containing block to position the columns because we want the columns to always start below the header. If we position them relative to the browser window, they may be in the wrong spot if the height of the header should change, such as the result of H1 text changing size, and make the content div a containing block by applying the declaration position as relative. Okay. Second note is that the main div is given a width of 50% and the absolute positioning is used to place it at the top of the content div and 25% from the left edge. And this will accommodate the 20% width of the left column plus 2.5% margin to the left and the right of it. Third note is that the news div is positioned at the top of the content div and 2.5% from the left edge. Okay. Fourth note is that the links div is positioned at the top of the content div and 2.5% from the right edge. No need to calculate the position from the left edge, just put it on the right. Note that we could have positioned the news and links column against their respective edges and used padding to make a little space on the sides. There are usually multiple ways to approach layout goals. The fifth note is that the only trick to getting this right is make sure your width and margin measurements do not exceed 100%. Remember to factor in padding and borders as well. Okay. Now we'll move forward to the next topic, which is 3 columns positioned fixed. If you prefer to have pixel level control over your position layout, and that is pretty easy to do. So as we'll see in the coming example, it differs from the previous fluid example in that the whole page is contained in a wrapper so it can be fixed and centered, and pixel values are used for the measurements to save space. I'll just show you the resulting styles here. The positioning strategy here will be the same, okay, which means that the markup will also be same. So I'll tell you the styles now for this. Okay, the styles are like this. Here I have defined margins for 0, okay, and some margin for main only. And now I'll show you the layout in the figure. So this is how it will look like in the browser. Okay. So this is all from my side in this tutorial and in this unit. And as I told you earlier that I will be teaching you Fox columns, but I will not be able to do that because they are beyond scope of this course, and you will not get a good understanding of them because you are not that professional in CSS till now. So I'll suggest that when you complete this course, then you can go ahead on the web and learn Fox column. So this was all from my side in this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll start with next unit, which is transitions, transform, and animation. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.